we're going to be dealing a lot with angles in what we call standard position. And it's an angle where the vertex is at the origin in the coordinate plane, and then the initial side follows along the positive x-axis. Then the terminal side will rotate either in the positive or the negative direction from the initial side. Now, as we rotate, sometimes we can end up back in the same place. We can rotate 60 degrees from our standard position, but if we take another angle and rotate all the way around 360 degrees, and then keep rotating until we end up in the same spot as we did before, well, now we've rotated 360 degrees plus another 60 degrees, giving us the 420. Both of these angles end in the same spot, even though they rotated different amounts. We could also rotate in the negative direction and still end up in the same position. And here we've rotated negative 300 degrees because it's 60 degrees short of a full rotation. All three of these angles, 60 degrees, 420, and negative 300, are all coterminal angles because they share a terminal side. And most of the time when we're dealing with our trigonometry, we want angles that are between 0 and 360, but we may be given angles of larger or smaller values, so we need to use the coterminal angles instead. So we can find some coterminal angles. It's simply a matter of adding and subtracting 300 and 60 until the criteria is met. So for an angle of least possible positive measure, and I start out with a really big angle, I just need to subtract 360 enough times until I get the smallest possible positive number that I can get. So when I subtract 360 the first time, I get 548. I subtract 360 again, I get 188. If I subtract 360 again, well, then I get negative 172. So of these, the smallest positive is 188. So that is the angle of least possible positive measure. Least possible positive measure. Because when I subtract it again, now I have a negative value. Now this negative value is my greatest possible negative measure. When we take a look at angle 75 degrees, if I subtract 360, well, I end up with negative 285, which meets the second criteria here of greatest possible negative measure, but I need a positive measure that is coterminal with 75. So we'll need to add 360 degrees to get a positive 435 to get the least possible positive that is coterminal with the angle that's given.